Yo, anybody in here? Let me see. This is completely random. Joe sent me a text. He's like, "Dude, let's talk about the national, and have some thoughts about us missing out." So that's what we're doing. Um, Give me a minute here. Man, I had it all hooked up on my computer. I thought like new microphone, like a headset, complications, because this was literally like 10 minutes ago. We decided to do this. All right, he's gonna be on in like 2 minutes. So let me see. I can't see anything until I pull it up on a browser. So give me a minute here. Philippines Collector. Hey. Thanks for coming in. You're the first one. Let's see. We're just going to talk about collecting cards as we do. How do I get to... It should be on there. All right, maybe not. Maybe I'll try this. Studio. Lonely Basement baseball cards. Keith, I think that's you, right, Keith? Brent, what up? Brian, Hodges, what up, guys? I'm still trying to figure this out. Joe's popping on in a second, just talking about cards. What's up, James? Thanks for coming in. I am trying to find the stream myself so I can kind of see. Am I looking semi-clear? Give me the thumbs up, thumbs down. I can't see yet. What's up, Tony? Welcome to the Random Live. Shoot. Why is this so difficult for me? Oh, I'm blurry. I'm always blurry. But you can hear me? Oh, man. What a bummer. Shoot. I'm always blurry. Oh, well. That's how it's going to be. Probably not too much for me showing cards then. That's a bummer. I like showing cards. Let me see. Man, I had it all set up on my computer, and I thought I knew what the problem was. My niece has been living with us, so I thought she was taking up all the bandwidth, but she just moved back home, or back to college. So now I'm like, oh, it's gonna be clear, but I guess not. Let's see, how do I get to this? Let's see, YouTube should be on here. Peeps, what up, peeps? Slow and steady, guys. Joe's popping on in a second. I'm still working out some kinks here. Why? All right, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to be right back. So I got Joe P coming on, the guy who's always on Jeremy Lee's show. He texted me. He's like, dude, let's get on. Let's talk about the national and us missing out. And I go, all right, let's go. I'll be ready in 20 minutes. So this is not professional. This is standard double D vintage baseball card style, off the cuff, random, just live. Why is this not working? I can't even see this. Gosh, what the heck? Oh, well, that's a bummer. Oh man. Well, I'll get the discussion going myself. Man, the national, watching everybody's videos. So I have never spent that much time watching YouTube videos in my life. I spent every second I had watching national videos. And normally I would have been like, no, I'm not watching. Like, I'm going to be all bummed out. But I couldn't help it. And I never watched the card videos either, like the ones where they show tables. But this year, because those ones just, to me, oh, here's Joe. I'll let him pop on. We can talk about this in a minute. Joe! Oh, you're muted. Did I mute you or unmute you? There you go.
I'm good. Sorry about that. I have like multiple Gmail accounts for work and this, and like signing out into one and the other and the passwords. And then it's like a 2-step Anyway, what's up?
Dude, you scheduled this thing. So this is why I texted you. I texted you the link. Man, you see how my internet's slow? So I'm blurry. I can already tell. But I kind of see when we're going out. But yeah, dude, I'm stoked you texted me. Yeah, bro. So I know you want to talk about the FOMO of missing the national, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're happy for our friends, but it was a little rough just checking them all out. But we could also just talk about what we observed, not necessarily like all about me and boo-hoo, but we could do a little bit of that. But we could also, just see what we noticed, like what were people doing. Like we have the objectivity of our friends and living a little vicariously through their experience. So I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. And before you popped on, I was talking about how I was like invested in the videos this year. Full blown. I never watch, like when I first got on YouTube, I was watching some of the card show videos, but then I completely got over them. Normally nothing bores me more than watching card table videos. Like that just doesn't interest me. I don't, what am I going to do? Fly over there and buy a card from somebody, or like have the guy send me photos to like call the number that someone shows. It's just, yeah, there we go. Selfie. I never liked that stuff, but this national, dude, I was like obsessed. And I think the reason is because obviously I was like jealous I wasn't there. And I wanted to see if the cards that I was looking for were there. And every time I saw a card that I wanted, I just kept telling myself, I know the eye appeal is not going to be there. But there was no proof of that, right? Because on video, they all look cherry, right? A 1 looks like a 10 when they're doing those videos. So that my take was like, I had my buddy Adam Vintage Sanctuary there, and he was kind of running the thoughts through. I talked to him like every night on the phone for like a half hour after the show. And I kind of got the feeling that it was really tough to find the good eye appeal cards, and especially the ones that I wanted. So that kind of gave me a little stress relief. So how did you take like the videos? What were you dived into?
Yeah, I was kind of toggling between a little bit more of the production type and also the like moving through the early tables, to the ones that were a little more testimonial, either wrapping up the day with what was accomplished, or possibly like, and it was partially like the interconnection between getting DMs from friends about, oh my God, I was doing this and then this happened. And then you sort of see maybe some version of that on YouTube. But what I took away, like the thing that seemed really critical, was that people were pouncing early, right? Like people were going in there and there was no, everyone's heard that recommendation. Like if you see it and it's the one, don't hesitate. And so I kind of felt like that's what I was noticing, both with like friends of mine who were there on the floor. And I was like, oh my God, it's like Thursday and my friends have spent all their money. So like good for them. And they got some really sweet cards, but it just kind of, to me, emphasizes how that eye appeal component is once again, kind of leading the way in the hobby.
Yeah. Cause everyone kind of made fun of me last year. When I went to the national, I went the last 2 years. And when I was there, I made a joke. I mean, I was pretty serious. I was joking, but serious. So that I'll run it back to the first national. I went to the first national. I was a little nervous, and I was way into centering an eye appeal then. I was nervous that seeing 25 Mickey Mantle 1959 Topps cards was going to be like discouraging on the fact that I collect Topps cards and they're so easy to find. Everyone always says, oh, it's so easy to find. There's going to be 159 Topps Mickey Mantles. Well, what I came away with in the first national I went to was that they might have been 100, but I didn't see anything that fit my eye according to my budget. Yeah, I saw some 9s in the cases, but 8s off-centered. But like, I wasn't gonna buy 8s and 9s. I saw, like, I joked, I saw 2 centered cards last year at the National, and I bought both of them, Topps cards. So when you talk about people pouncing on the eye appeal, I noticed that too. Like, I know a couple guys got in early, and there's slim pickings on some of those big cards. Like Moynihan got the 52 Mays. Now I haven't seen that thing up close. From the videos, it looks dead centered and it looks like a 10, right?
Yeah.
But I haven't watched his up close video to see. But that, like, right away, I was like, yeah, you got it. When you see those ones in those lower grades, you got to pounce. It's like, did any of your friends text you, like, did Jay Lee spend all his money like the first hour, first day?
Well, he's pretty diligent in how he goes about things, and I think he does have some reveals for Saturday night's show. So I'm gonna be on there with him processing that. But yeah, as a teaser, yeah, he definitely did, and he again speaks to, like, it's not just what I got; it's kind of like the value proposition of the grade I got it in and the price that I got it at. But I think our guy Greg, midlife, he did some things pretty early. And the other thing I noticed, and I heard this in a few different pockets, people bringing in their crew, right, to like help them assess, because if you are going to pounce, right, I mean, if you're dropping whatever, I mean, I'm not rich, but like a 4-figure card, that's a lot of money, whatever the first number is. And so getting your friends to kind of just like, hey, can you check this for me? Can you take a look? You got a loop, or you got, just your eye and experience. And so, you probably saw it, right? He got the red portrait Cobb, and it looks fantastic. The registration, the this, the that. And I think he's like displayed it and, made a video about it. So go watch that video. But yeah, I mean, when I saw him get that, I'm like, yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot of that kind of value proposition on the floor after the first day, because people just scoop them up.
Yeah, dude. So out of all the purchases that you saw at, like, on video, were there any that really just, because I think Greg, like, he's never bought a card that big. I never bought a card that big. To me, I was like, it's weird. You want to salute someone for spending a whole bunch of money. Like, I was like, yeah, that's insane. But then you feel bad because not everyone has that type of money. But there is something to be said to, like, he really jumped the shark. Like, he pushed it to the extreme. And to me, that one really stuck out to me as, like, he did it right. Like, he pounced and got it at the very right moment. I haven't watched his video explaining that one yet, but I know I know the gist of it. That one really struck with me. And then I also was watching, and he's in here, Dean. So Goodman, I'll pop him up right here. Goodman, actually, you know what? I'll pop up Mike Petty's, because these 2 cards that he mentioned right here, Mike Petty mentioned, it was Dean, Goodman, and W238, whatever. He picked up it looked like, I don't know if it was a Snoopy rookie, but this Manko Sadahara O and the Snoopy, to me, were like, those 2 hit the spot. Like, if I was there, I would have bought those 2 cards guaranteed. Like, we would have been pouncing it out together. So I would say Greg's and those 2, for me, really, I would have went home with those, and I would have done what Greg did, and I would have blasted. I would have gone to the bank, and I would have made that Cobb happen at that price in that moment if I was him. So yeah, those are like my picks that really popped out to me so far.
Yeah. No, I mean, Jay Lee did get some really cool cards, but I'm not going to go into those. Vintage Dan pulled some things out, and he's been slow rolling them on his IG. I don't know if I'll just pop up and it's like, another one, Dan, come on. Like, this morning I saw it was like a caramel Johnny Evers, with a nice orange background. And I was like, damn, and these are cards that are like in an interesting weight class, right? Because they're probably in that, like, I think his was a 1.5. So it's probably in that like 350 to 850 range. But for the kind of card that, if it were a Mathewson, or if it were a Cy Young, or if it were a Ty Cobb, like, it would go up exponentially. But, Johnny Evers, Tinkers and Evers and Chance, kind of like, a iconic kind of name, and super cool presentation, super cool aesthetics. So I really liked what Dan did. I think he saw a few others. He got some Dobie stuff, some really nice Dobie stuff. He got
who was it that was going for the Dobie? Was that him going for the Dobie, the Bowman, the rookie? God, maybe it wasn't him.
Maybe. Sheesh, man. It sounded like everybody was going after Dobie. Dobie is like, can't afford Satchel Paige, so we got to go for Dobie. But yeah, I think, or Jackie. I saw a little tease too from Victory Sports Cards. Jay Lee did a series of like small little interviews, and Sean from Victory was mentioning that he has a card, but he has not revealed what it is yet. But I mean, the way he was talking about it and knowing how he collects, I am definitely anticipating the moment that he reveals, which is an interesting conversation in itself. Like, when you do pick up a card, he was kind of talking about this. He was kind of saying, like, sometimes I like to like give it away right away. Like, here it is. This is what I got, like, immediately. But then there can be something else to sort of like, you know what? I'm going to sit with this and enjoy it in my own little intimate world for a bit before I let the world know what I did. So I hope I'm not blowing anything, Sean. That was a good interview you did with Jeremy there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you got.
Yeah, that's a great point, because like marinating on your own cards, and especially because you do Instagram, but wait, yeah, I feel like, do I follow you on Instagram?
I'm not sure.
I don't
Maybe.
know if I do. So I don't go on Instagram that much. I have an account on there. I'll pop on, once a day, and then I'll tell myself, like, get off, Dylan. You don't need to be on somewhere else. I already have the YouTube thing. I try and not do that. But like, when you pick up a card, having a channel, it is, for me, I like to marinate on it as well. Kind of figure out how I want to share it, what card I want to share it with. And then some guys would go home at night in their hotel rooms and show the pickups, which were my favorite, because then I get to see it instantly, which was pretty exciting. Like, John Wade Boggs fan picked up a sick Hank Aaron rookie. And it was really fun to see that. And then he showed the process. So that's like a whole nother topic for people, because having a channel, a lot of people maybe who don't have channels maybe think we're showing off, right? Hey, check out this sick card I got. It isn't that. For, I know all my friends, all of us collector channels, it isn't that. It is our excitement and our joy to share how our collection is forming. And it's not for the pat on the back. Oh, that looks great, Dylan. That's the best eye appeal card I've ever seen. No, it is just to like get that excitement off your chest, because we've never been able to do that before. I never did one by myself, collecting and throwing them and, doing things by myself. That's what it is. So I do spend most of my time with my cards by myself. I don't do a lot of videos, I'll do a video every 5 days, 10 days. Sometimes I'll do two in a row. Because most of the time I'm just hanging out with myself with my cards. So that's a good point, Joe. Let me ask you, if you were at the National, were there any cards that you saw in the video that you wished you could have held in your hand and made a play for?
Right. Well, I held in the hand, but make a play for, I'm not so sure. I mean, anytime there's a 48, Leaf, Satchel Paige, and I saw a few of those, but they're just way out of my price range, right? I actually, I kind of have my cheat code right here. This is a reprint, but it's an age. I've kind of aged it in my own way with sunlight and stuff, and of course it's in the the thing you're not supposed to put cards in.
Yes.
The screw down. But yeah, and I dabble into the modern, Dylan, as you know. So I saw a few Curry cards here and there that were interesting. But man, a takeaway for me, and I know people were saying like there wasn't any one player, but it felt like to me, and maybe this is just the people that I follow or that I'm interested in, but it felt like vintage was hot, like vintage.
Yeah, I got that gist too. It sounded like it's kind of on fire. But like you say, it's kind of like I didn't see any tables with modern because all the guys I follow now, I have guys that collect both. A lot of guys I know collect both. They weren't at the National.
Right.
So the tables I saw were all vintage.
So let me ask you though. So we talked about this right out of the gates, and I didn't even know we were live. So like, here we go. Jumping right in. It's like paddle out, and it's like the set hits right out of the gates. Like you thought it was flat, and no. But what was your emotional response to seeing all these, all the joy, all the, the pride of collecting, people there with their friends, people having access and exposure to, everything from Batman costumes to like, mint 9 Roberto Clemente rookie cards. Like it was a museum times 10. Did you have an emotional experience, or was it a range of emotions? Like how did that all hit you?
Well, for me, like I don't care about the museum aspect. I don't even want to see a PSA 9 Clemente rookie or a Babe Ruth. Like I want to see the Honus Wagner T206, which I did see one. But none of that, it means nothing to me. I'm never going to own it. I really don't care. But what I saw in the videos and what I've experienced is when you're there with your friends and those after parties and the lives, like Orlando, we love you. Watching all the chat. Man, I've been thinking about you all day. Watching Orlando's live, he did a live, and he always does a live every year. One year he took my phone and he did a live, and he took my camera around, and he brought his camera, and it was about as good quality as this video right now with me. But it was all time. To be in the moment with my friends. Like, Joe, you don't know these guys. I know you have certain friends, but that's for me, it was all about like wanting to be in that room with my friends, holding their pickups and just talking about baseball cards the whole night. And I know a couple of the guys like closed down some bars. I would have definitely closed down those bars. I mean, 1 o'clock in the morning, that's nothing.
You have the time zone advantage too.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, my take, it wasn't in the beginning, it was the FOMO for the cards because everyone was doing the card videos. But I kind of knew in my head, like, look, when I see all these epic 53 Mantle tops, there's probably not even a single one in that show that I would have went home with, because I hadn't seen one in the 2 years I was there that I would have bought in the grade. I'm very limited on that card, right? Like you're talking 3 and below max. So I'm limited, but I wouldn't have found one most likely. I probably wouldn't have found the 52 Mays that I wanted. I wouldn't have found a lot of these cards. So I would have had to pivot and go after maybe some modern stuff. And also I kind of at all costs would have avoided Robert Prestige Auctions, his table and the beginning, because I would go there and spend all my money. And last year I waited till the end and I literally had to borrow money at the table from somebody because it was like every card I wanted. And so, yeah, for me, it was like just being around my friends, literally legit friends, and talking about cards. Like with you right now, just popping on randomly. It's really fun to talk about cards and our like thoughts, right? About them.
Totally. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think that's, there was a moment, I guess I missed the call. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you've had these experiences in just your personal world where different segments of your friendship groups that aren't connected suddenly are connecting. And it's like, wait, like you're blowing my mind, you know? So, Greg wanted to meet, Hoj. You know, Greg was like, does Hoj know who I am? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he knows who you are. Like, you've been
Yeah.
on the show, you know, you have a pretty successful YouTube channel. And so anyway, there was a moment where I missed a call where, you know, Jeremy was at Hoj's booth and Greg was there and they were all there together. And Jay Lee was like, we should call Joe right now. You know, he's missing. And, you know, I missed the call, but just knowing that they were thinking of me, you know, made me feel good. And also, you know, a little bit of heartache, like, oh yeah, that would have been a fun moment because, you know, those guys are kind of a little disparate in my, they're, you know, they all know each other, but yeah, when you see guys together, you know, you see certain combinations of content creators and you kind of know they know each other, but even I'm sure being there is even more, you know, kind of like surreal, but like just even seeing them together in person, you know, certain combinations of people, you're just like, oh yeah, that's gotta be the experience there.
Dude, it was awesome to see, like you said, the little different cliques coming together. Like Jeremy Lee, I believe, like I saw him the first national, maybe even last year too, but I never spoke to him because he wouldn't have known who I was. I didn't watch his show at that time. I don't even know if he had a show at that time. I knew of him from maybe, I'm sure he probably did. But regardless, seeing him with my friends, like at dinner and stuff, I was like, now that is awesome. Like when Jeremy had somebody on his show the other day, I think you were still on there. Somebody from TikTok. There's like a vintage community on TikTok. I was like, what? So like all these little different communities coming together at the National. And I had the same experience you did. Theo Clemente Collector called me while he
Right.
was around a table.
Yeah.
Nat, the card story, was there, and a few other guys, and it meant a lot to me. I actually picked it up because I was driving, just got done surfing, so I was all like, "What up, Theo? Yeah." It was really special. It meant like they were thinking about me, and I mean, because God, I wanted to be there. It's just too much travel for me. It's crazy.
Massive. Yeah. Yeah. Did you find yourself, so, you know, to kind of ease the, you know, mild ache of not being there, I was looking for, you know, cards to buy. And then like Fanatics decided, okay, we're not going to close on Sunday night. We're going to close on Monday night. So I was looking there, I was looking on eBay, but it didn't seem like the hobby slowed down. Everybody's like, you can find a deal when the National is happening because everybody's pouring money. I didn't see no deals on eBay. I didn't see no deals on Fanatics. I was just like, did you find anything? Did you scratch that itch to just say like, well, I didn't spend, you know, I didn't drop $5,000 to go out there on a plane and stay in a hotel and buy a couple cards. Did you do anything for yourself? I know you'd gotten into a pretty sweet card just recently, but any scratching of itches?
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's always videos about how cards are cheaper before the National, and I've never experienced that. On eBay either. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe they're different cards than the ones I'm going for. I was like with you. Yeah, I was trying to scratch that itch, and I did find some on my watch list and a couple modern cards that hit my watch list that popped up. I did snatch them up, and I probably wouldn't have if I definitely wouldn't have if I was at the National because I would have spent all my money there. And I'm really stoked on the cards that I got. But I didn't find any deals whatsoever. I was looking at auctions ending. There were no deals. And in fact, I had like 20 cards on Fanatics ending like the same day the National started. And they all went for record prices. And according to my brain, at least, like I got really good money for them. So I don't know. Maybe the hobby is just that big where it doesn't affect anything anymore. I just,
Right.
not everyone's flying to the national. Let's put it that way. What 1% of collectors are going to the national? I just never found that hype to be true that they're cheaper. Now that's my experience, and I'm an experienced guy. Greg will probably make a video about this and show me proof that there is deals during the national. And then I'll just disprove it by saying, nah, that didn't look, those aren't this, right? So, yeah, I did scratch the itch. And if I was clear, I would share because I have them in front of me, but you can't even see what they are. So I'll save them.
Yeah, maybe when the weather pattern is good. You know, it's funny. You bring up some really good points. Like I think the hobby and the hobby space, the collecting space is now so massive that you are not necessarily, it's not like people are asleep at the wheel. I mean, hell, they may be even looking on eBay from the national, right? I had seriously like 10 to 15 cards that I had been watching from anywhere from like 7 days to like a month that just went on sold, right? Like all of a sudden I was like, wait, you know, because I was looking to scratch itch, and like and they were mostly vintage, you know, mid to low grade, but really nice vintage. And I was like, oh my God, people are doing the same thing I'm thinking of doing, which is like, I'm not at the national. I got to get something. I got to get a DiMaggio. I got to get a Jackie. I mean, there were those kind of cards and like 1s and 2s. And so I was like, holy moly, like, you know, it's a good reason to go back to your watch list from time to time and go, okay, there's a reason I put this card on my watch list. Now it's gone, or maybe this one isn't gone. So I was thinking about that. And then in terms of people, like I know, you know, we've talked about Jeff Wilson from time to time. I mean, he did some interesting content. One moment was he had Bo Jackson come up to his little trading booth, and he had Flavor Flav of Public Enemy fame with him. And he had promised, I guess, Flavor Flav a really big card of his. And so Jeff had one signed rookie. I think it was the Topps or the Fleer Bo Jackson rookie. And he's like, this is what I got. I think it was stickered at 4K. And so Bo offered him some new product signed. And I mean, it was sort of awkward. It was sort of weird, but like seeing Flavor Flav and Bo Jackson in person together, like that's
sick.
Yeah, that was kind of like worth it right there. And then, you know, I'm sort of not friends, but you know, I know Mike Gio from Sports Cards Nonsense. And
I don't know who that is.
He and Jesse, they do a lot of modern card coverage stuff, but like they were right there next to Brady. They were hanging out with Brady. They were talking to Brady, you know, so Brady, you know, and I don't know, like I'm not a massive Tom Brady fan, but
wait, that's a podcast, right?
Well, no, just on the national floor. Yeah, it is a podcast. Yeah, they do.
I think I was listening today because one of the guys said he was talking to Brady. He was like, yeah, I think I do listen to that podcast now I think about it. I just didn't remember their names.
Yeah, and there were other you know, I saw my guy Wax Museum, Kyle. You know, he had some interactions, I think, with Dr. J. He showed like Dr. J signing one of his triple panel 1980 Topps, and you know, like his big old hands, Dr. J hands. So like that kind of stuff where you saw, you know, people, you know, or at least collectors that you can associate getting to interact with like actual superstars, you know, like high, you know, people that, you know, we collect, and then they were there. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, when they're your friends talking to them, that makes it pretty special. I wouldn't care if it was just anyone, but if you know the person, yeah, it's like a whole dude. So John Wade Boggs fan. Do you know who John Wade Boggs fan is?
I think I've heard that name. Yeah.
Okay. He hung out with Wade Boggs for an entire day, like 12 hours, he said. Even my wife watched the video that he put out about it, and it was mind-blowing. And so, like you said, I was really excited for John. Like, oh, that was the coolest thing ever. Like, he's a super fan, a super collector of Wade Boggs. Like has a whole room of just Wade Boggs stuff, like a Wade Boggs freaking cutout, you know. So yeah, I really loved that. Absolutely. Let me take a second. We'll say hi to everybody. Everyone's popping in right now. We got Stoops. Hey, Scott, I just got your package. I'm gonna open that baby up. Cannot wait. I was gonna text you. So thank you. I'm freaking excited to see what's in there. Can't thank you enough for that. Can't wait. Let's see. We got Chris is in here. Greg popped in. He didn't know what was going on. Of course not. We didn't know what was going on. Yeah, anybody else? Jacob Dahl, haven't seen him in here yet. Thank you guys. Yeah, anyone have any comments about the National, any pickups you want to share, pop them in the chat as well. So last night I was watching a video with my friend Brent and my friend Shane. They do because we're speaking about our watch list, okay? And I got so fired up. And like, you know, when you, just like you said, when you're watching your friends at these shows, I was watching them talk about cards, listening to them talk about cards, had it on my screen right here. And I had my watch list, and I wanted this card for like, probably on the watch list for like a year and a half. And with the National going on that just ended, I'm still in like that super card mania pickup mode. And
Wait, Dylan, you're always in that mode. You're always in that
mode. We all are, right? Yeah. So this card's, I sent this guy 5 offers. I maxed it out. Like, I think my last time was like 6 months ago. My final offer got rejected. So I had nothing. I couldn't offer him any more money for this card. Like, he wanted, you know, what I thought was probably $100 too much for the card. It's a modern card. I don't know comps, and one hadn't sold in, you know, in this certain grade in a while, according to eBay. So I did look at that. I did kind of know that. But during that, I got so fired up, I just smashed the buy it now. And I said, you know what? It's for my collection. I wanted this card on my watch list for 2 years. I didn't care I was overpaying. I just wanted the card because it just goes in my collection. And that's, I always talk about that. Like, I do want my cards to be worth more in the future, and or at least what I pay for in the moment. But there's also times where, you know, sometimes a smart move is to buy the card that nobody else has wanted in a year and a half, and maybe in 10 years it'll be worth more. You got to go with your gut sometimes. And so I hit that thing last night, and I was like, yes, I got it. I'm really stoked. And I probably paid $100 at least too much for this. It was $400. And I think I probably could have been patient and waited another year till one popped up. You know, only 12 have been graded, but there's 76 of them that exist. And, you know, me and us in the modern stuff, guys in vintage, they're like, oh, that's so dumb. What a waste of $400. Well, I wanted this card for so long, and nobody else wanted it this long. And I just like, guy wasn't going to budge, and nobody else had it available. And I said, that's it. I got so motivated. You know, I got so inspired last night. So that's probably what happened to you while you're watching people at the National, right? You're like on your watch list, getting inspired, going, what about this guy? What about this? Oh yeah, really fun.
No, it starts to seem like monopoly money when you see some of the deals going on down there. But what I would say, what's up, midlife? What I would say too, though, is the mental space that some cards take up in our brains. You know, there is at some point just like, okay, just get it. You know, like let's just get her done and on to the next thing, and you have it. And yeah, like you said, like, I could have got it for, I mean, you know, we're not rich. I'm not rich. I don't know if you're rich, but you know, like $50 here, like if you're like perseverating on a purchase for like over a year, yeah, just get that thing and then like enjoy it and have it and move on to, you know, let that space, that mental space now, you know, go somewhere else, you know, the next thing, the new idea, the new complementary card to your collection.
Yeah. And you know what I did after I hit that? This morning I woke up And I have about, I think probably like 25 graded cards listed on eBay. And I finally just started the auction. I changed them all to auction and just going to let them all go. I don't want the cards anymore. They're not in my collection anymore.
Oh,
And
that's like the reverse paradigm. Yeah.
yeah. And I unloaded them because once I put a card up for sale, it's no longer in my collection. It's out of my binder. I highlight it in red on my spreadsheet, means it's for sale, and it's out of my brain. And they're all modern cards except for maybe like 2 vintage cards that were slightly off centered. And they're, it's not like I really don't love the cards anymore, the modern cards, but when I started this whole modern card collecting thing, I wouldn't say it's a learning curve, because you don't need to learn anything in cards. I find it hard when people say you need to be an expert in cards, or like there's experts in knowledge of cards like Stooks and Orlando, and I can name tons of guys that know a lot about cards. But when you're just collecting and you're just buying cards, you really don't need to know anything about them. If you think they're cool, you can buy them. And if you want to look up comps to know you're not getting hosed, you can just buy them. So these are cards that when I started this journey of modern cards, I loved them and I still love them. But I went from the less scarce stuff in the beginning. I bought the less scarce stuff, and I am moving on from all that. And I just narrowed it down to like gold refractors, printing plates. And I have like 5 different collections going of binders. And so I needed to make space for new stuff, and I needed more money. I don't have endless money. And then I also have been going through my binders since the National started because of these other random purchases that I made on my watch list and things that popped up that I had to buy. I got about 30, I think it was 27 cards I boxed up this morning and shipped them to Fanatics. Pulled them. They've been sitting. Part of them I've been pulling out over the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then I pulled out about 5 more today that were on my spreadsheet in my brain. Pulled those out, and they're all modern cards except for I think 2 vintage cards I sent as well, all being shipped out. And now they're gone. So I got a lot of cards that are going to be sold, smaller stuff like $10 to $50 cards. But it's all going to add up and pay for what I just picked up, and hopefully a little more. And I did a giant purge to get the Lou Gehrig and the Joe D. And I'm finding selling cards. I've always sold cards my whole life. But the vintage cards, I didn't sell that much because I just didn't want to part with them. But I'm learning, since I started selling the off-centered stuff, I'm learning that selling can be good for you and good for your brain to let things go. I can always grab things again, but to really focus down. But as someone who's starting a collection, like you've never collected modern, have at it. You don't need to learn anything. You don't need to know anything. Just buy whatever the heck suits you, spend some money, and then learn what you truly like when you get them in hand. And I say that about vintage too. Like my Japanese baseball card collection, when I've been collecting these for years, I didn't know what these were. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know anything about the cards. I knew the player on the card, Sadahara O. And then once I got on YouTube, more people would like explain to me what the cards were. And I'm loving learning about sets and cards. That's fun too. But you don't have to. And I always make a kickback on like, you have to really be professional to collect baseball cards. You don't have to know jack crap. If you like the card, go buy the card. It's not brain surgery, and it bothers me when like people like they just think they're getting the greatest deal in the world, and it's like we don't know if we're getting great deals or spending way too much, right? Like you look at Marshall Fogel, everyone laughed at him for buying those cards, those PSA 10s back then. You look at Greg's dad buying those giant, buying the high grade stuff back in the day, or trying to find the cards, getting them high grade. people were laughing at them, the money they were spending. Now who's laughing? Now what's the future from here? So, yeah. Any thoughts on that? Like being a professional collector or professional, any thoughts on that? As I always like talking about that stuff.
Totally. You said a lot of
I
good
just say a lot.
Yeah, no, and I mean, to amplify your first and I think most important point is, when you see something you like, and obviously like price point. I mean, you don't want to necessarily like do a little research once you locate it, but like in some instances, it's as simple as this looks good to me. This is appealing. I would like to be able to look at this. I would like to place this on my shelf, or however you display your cards or pull them out. So that absolutely is a thing. But and sometimes in the purchase of the card, it causes you to seek more information, right? Like once you get it, then you are a little more interested in Sadahara O, or what are some of the other available options in the Japanese card collecting world. Like it will lead you forward, right? Your impulse, like you don't have to think about it. Dylan, you're a surfer, man. You don't have a whole lot of time to think, right? Like you just got to turn and go, right? Yep. Like sometimes, or you're going to miss the wave. And if you want to jump on it, like you just like almost got to take away the brain. And I agree, like a lot of content and collectors, and I do it too. I'm not like saying I don't, but like it's almost overthinking things sometimes to the point of like paralysis, right? Analysis paralysis. So I like that. In terms of the sale, the jumping into the sales side of things, like I commend that, because that is also bold too. Like I will linger in my mind, like, God, I'd like to sell some cards. I'd like to sell some cards, but what do I sell? What do I sell? And I like that it sounds like your strategy there is you kind of like rip off the Band-Aid. It's like, yeah. I'm sure there's a little more thought to it. Like you're putting your pile together, and it's like, okay, rip it off. And more and more, and I've talked to multiple people about this, it's definitely up in the collecting world. It's nothing new, but like consolidation, or just giving yourself fuel and currency, literal currency, to be able to go out there and target maybe a big fish, right? And as you collect over time, you do accumulate a lot of cards. And I was talking, I was listening, I think it was Greg's show, the Q&A, where he was kind of talking about the idea of gradually downsizing his collection. And like, I mean, it's a little bit morbid, like, but how many slabs would you need on your deathbed, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably not, well, maybe it's 500 for some people, but there's probably a gradual amount where you're refining, you're paring down. And let's face it, like when you have, you've got a couple DiMaggios now, you've got some really nice cards. And once you get one of those cards in hand and you appreciate, like, wow, I own, a heads up DiMaggio with the comics. And just like, this is in my collection and I can't believe it. It's a little surreal.
Yes.
Because, you may never have thought you did it. And then you just start to think, well, what would it take to repeat that formula? What would it take? And a little Band-Aid ripping, a little, there's work involved. Anytime I send my cards in the mail, it always brings up a little anxiety. Like, are they going to get there? Are they going to get there to Tigard, Oregon? Like, who's going to receive them in the vault? And is the postman going to? But anyway, I commend you for having the boldness and the initiative to just go ahead and do that, because what it opens up is Dylan's next great adventure with a little capital that you're going to be able to kind of feel a little, you're going to have a little bit. It's like after you catch the set wave, you paddle back up to the lineup, you're feeling you're looking around, you're like, yeah, I got the set wave. I mean, not necessarily in the way, but you're confident, right? You have a little bit of swagger in your way. And, it's not like, maybe let someone else have the next set wave, but if the set wave comes at you, it's like, yeah, I might do it again.
Yeah. And, it's funny too, because I'm definitely going to lose a good chunk of money on all the cards that I sold because I bought them all in the last couple of years, and they're all modern, like lower dollar cards. And they might sell for the same price, but I'm losing all that
Fees.
in between money, going back and forth, all the fees. Like, no doubt, out of all this, I'll probably lose like $1,000, but it's not a loss because that money has already been put towards other things, and it goes back into this never-ending cycle, it's just it's really fun. And I want to make myself clear before people throw stones at me. I commend and I respect people who know about cards and dive in a great deal of knowledge and know everything there is. And I don't take anything from them when I say, like, you don't need to be a professional, you can just buy cards. I am saying it from a point of view that I've collected cards my entire life, and I never once did a single bit of research on a single card I ever purchased in my whole life until the last 3 years. And I have never, ever stopped buying cards. There wasn't a moment in time that I stopped buying vintage baseball cards. There was no, it just was a never ending thing, but it was always just tops, and those, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do love learning, and I didn't know I loved learning until I started actually mainly the modern stuff. The Japanese stuff's been great to learn. I have Robert on my show. It's been fun. But the modern stuff, I can learn it from my desktop. I didn't even know there was a Wikipedia and stuff, or, a database of cards. I had no idea that stuff existed. So I respect that people know a bunch about cards, but you don't have to. That's all I ever stress on my channel is there is just no such thing as an expert, a professional collector. There may be a dealer, a guy who deals cards, and he knows how to get great deals or goes hunting. But for us collectors, for me, I'm never getting a great deal. I'm always paying collector prices. I don't buy in bulk. I don't buy, maybe I get lucky in an auction here or there, and I might get a good deal because later I sell it or it goes up in value, or randomly get a good deal. But I just buy the card if I like the card. So when you started collecting, Joe, before you found the internet with, podcasts, I don't even know how you got into this whole thing. When you're doing it by yourself, did you research cards like your modern stuff? Did you know about Cardpedia and all those different things?
Not really. Like you, I existed in a very isolated state for decades. The only time I would really have any dialogue about cards is when I would go to the local card shop, and at various moments, they went out of business. There'd be one and then there wouldn't be one. So, the community and or anyone that knew anything was limited. And let's face it, like, if you're going to tell me that you know everything about all sports cards, I'm going to call you a liar. Like, there is so much to know. Now, you might have certain lanes or niches that more than most people or more than anybody. There are experts, but like, it's such a vast field. It's so complex, and that's part of the beauty, right? So I guess that, the top, Topps and Bowman, early Bowman and Topps were sort of all I really knew. And you just knew the years, you gradually acquired knowledge about which ones were hard to find centered, right? Like,
yep.
And even in the 70s, right? Like oh my God, that 77 Winfield is just really hard to find centered. Various Nolan Ryans, there's just, so you would gather information, just accrue information over time just by being exposed. And usually it was kind of like, wow, that's a card I don't usually see in that good a condition or that well centered, right? Like, centering was a big differentiator. And that's another thing I heard about this show, was that centered cards were like flying off the shelf, you know. So
I could
like,
hear that.
yeah. So that's
What was that? What was that book that you showed?
this is like, I mean, I'll research a little bit here and there. You'll, you know, go on the T206 sites and research like the reverses for, you know, where what is the, you know, the old mill, you know, differentiator or ratio. I'm sure Greg's looking at that from time to time now with that cup. But this is just Joe Orlando, who was the editor of Sports Card Market, and it's got the 100 sports cards. And the thing I like about it is it's very simple. You know, you'll just
sick.
Yeah, and it's got 100 cards, all of which you'd pretty much like to own, and it tells you a little bit about the copy, about the scarcity. Like literally, this is all just about the 54 Williams, right? But that's it. It doesn't go that deep. And yeah, I would recommend this if you don't if you don't own this. Like, hey, here you go, and it talks a little bit about, you know, let's compare the two heads up, and let's talk about, you know, the origin of the card. Is it considered a rookie card? You know, it just covers some of the bases on a very, you know, general level. You know, the real badasses out there can dial into deeper stuff about registration, but it even talks about that, like really hard to find this one with good registration. So I don't know if you got an Amazon account, you know, it may not be your style, but if
I love books like that because I have the Mike Payne book, the top 300. So I have that right over here, and I bring it out on my deck, you know, especially if I had just sold like a big card or got some money from selling some cards. I'm always, yeah, there she is. I'm always looking. I just like looking at the iconic cards. Well, yeah. With that said, so every year, you know, every like 3 or 4 years, I would buy the Vintage Almanac. So, and it's got, you know, this is 2020. This has all the different kind of sets in there, but I never ever looked at it. I never looked at the other sets. I never cared about anything but the Topps and the Bowman and the Goudeys. And that was pretty much it. And that's all I've ever cared about my entire collecting life until YouTube. You know, I just scanned right over them. It wasn't the purpose for my collection. So I always find it funny to see like some guys really love to know about the card before they buy it. And some guys, I know Mangini's a lot like me, where he'll just buy the card and then he'll figure out what it's about later. That's how I've done it. But to be fair, until YouTube, I was just buying Topps and Bowman. You don't need to know anything. I knew about the history of Topps and Bowman because I read all the books, but I didn't need to know anything beyond that, right? It's quite simple. Look at the card, looks cool, buy it if you like it.
Yeah.
Simple as that, you know?
There's a really good Iowa Dave, you know, his podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So there was a recent drop. He had a guest on. They were sort of talking
Hank
about
Aaron, yeah.
the Hank Aaron. Did you hear that one? That was such an interesting conversation. And like, I kind of wanted them to do that with like a lot of different cards. And of course, you know, it's like, oh yeah, that 58, like it immediately got me going like, okay, where's my 58? I want to look at the green. And, you know, I do have the 54 Aaron, but I realized when I got it in hand, it's got a little surface damage that I don't quite like. So once I got it in hand, it's a little heartbroken, but
yeah. Oh, you mean you right after you bought it, you noticed it.
Well,
you didn't just notice it all of a sudden.
I bought it on PW or Fanatics, okay. And then when I got it in hand, it was like, oh, there's a little more surface damage than I realized. Yeah, no, and usually they're pretty good. Well, you know, yes and no, good about showing that, but you can only see so much two-dimensionally, right? So anyway, point being, I was going to ask you, do you have any, like, we tend to think of rookie cards as like where you want to live, but like, are there any cards? And I know you're, you know, the Robin Yount, you know, 75 and Brett, right? You're equal opportunity. Yount over Brett or Brett over Yount?
Oh, Yount way over Brett.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. But like, are there any cards that are, you know, like 6th year, 5th year, 3rd year, or even 2nd year, but like just a card that you think is so much of a banger aesthetically over the rookie card that's like, no, I'd rather have this in super high eye appeal than the rookie card, right? Like, you know.
Well, Joe, it's like you don't even know me. I am a rookie card guy. There isn't a single
Oh,
baseball card, Topps
this is
baseball
a
card
test. This is a
that I
test.
that I like the second card more than the rookie card. Every single rookie card is better than the other. And I sent a photo of my 1958 Topps Hank Aaron to Dave.
Did
I
you?
texted him right after I listened to that podcast, and then we were texting back and forth. Now there are some absolutely beautiful second year cards, but my collector's brain, will never get past the rookie card. I will never choose a second year card over a rookie card. It just won't happen for me. But it doesn't mean I won't buy the second year first. And it doesn't mean I don't think they're beautiful. So, for instance, the Hank Aaron, I think the 55 Hank Aaron is like one of the greatest baseball cards in existence. I do also think the 58. Joe, I love. Every time I look at a card like too long, I go, "This is the greatest card I've ever seen in my life." So.
Right.
It's except for black and white cards. I can look at those till the cows come home, and I have a hard time falling in love with them. But I do collect some black and white ones, and I do fall in love with some, like my printing plates. I love them. I love the black and white ones.
Great.
It's so funny, right? But yeah, is there any that like really pop out to you?
What I was going to say is like some of it comes down to the set, right? Like the design of the set. So I want to do an exercise with you.
Okay.
We've got 1, 2, or 3, right? And you can't you can't do threes on everything, Dylan. So like 1, 2, or 3 in a relative sense.
Okay.
We're gonna speed date here. We're gonna go through 52 to 77. And we're just gonna put up a finger whether like what that level of set is for us. Okay, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. So
wait, so 1 through 3. 3 is you like it the most.
3 is high. 3 is high. Okay, so let's go.
Okay.
52, 53, 54, 55, 56.
It's gonna change, I promise.
57, 58, 59,
I get you.
60. Let's stick with 2. 61.
61. What's wrong with you? It's
Just-
so like
Yeah.
It's just really simple. It's just such a beautiful.
We'll
the
come
Mickey
back.
Mantle and Roger Maris. Okay, all right.
62, the wood.
Oh, I love the wood ones. Orlando loves the wood one too.
63.
Roll up. 63. Yeah.
I'm pulling
Oh,
5. I love the 63 set.
wow. Yeah, 63.
64.
64. I'll give that to you.
65. I'm gonna go 3 with 65. Yeah. 66. It's cool. You get an auto.
My first one.
Oh no, that's 67. Sorry. Your
Oh, yeah,
first one.
Oh, 67 2.
67 2. 68, the Burlock Sap.
I'll give that a 3.
I like that.
I love that one.
69, I'm going down to 2.
I got 3 still.
70.
I really like 70. I'll give it a 2 because it comes and goes in my life.
Okay. 71. 72. There you go. Top 72. You gotta love
The best.
Yeah.
Hey, if Carlos ever watches this, he hates this set.
Oh,
Same with Mike Junkwax Hero.
no, that is some
Unsubscribe.
quintessential 70s. Oh my god.
Totally.
73.
73, man. 2.
Yeah, I'm 2. I've got sentimental with 73, but 74.
A couple cards I love, but I'll go 1 because I like a different one more, and it looks just like it.
Here we go, Dylan. 75.
Well, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. 75. Awesome. 76. Oh, really?
Yeah, I
They
mean,
have
I
the
love.
Lou Brock,
Yeah, that's a sick card. I love that card, but
colors. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
77.
I don't like the little guys on there. It just doesn't.
Oh,
77. I'll give that a 1 too.
okay. I'm gonna stick with 2 because I collect them
I
all.
love 77. I love all these, but yeah, I'll
Yeah.
give it a 1.
78.
1.
Yeah. 79.
1.
That's the Aussie, right?
Yeah.
The Aussie. Yeah. And then 80. Go back up to that's the Ricky. That's pretty damn nice.
And I was born in 80. Yeah, and it's the Ricky, and that's a lot like the 74. Like they're pretty much the same thing. One's got like a wavy flag, and
yeah,
they pretty much look identical.
So now I got to watch. So I don't even know what I did. That was all freestyle. That was all off the cuff, nothing premeditated. So the 61, I'm sorry I did that to you. I don't know. I had some beater 61s and maybe they didn't really speak to me as much as like if I'd had a banger, like a banger Maze or a banger Aaron. The Aaron, I like
Maze. You can't have a banger Maze in that set.
Yeah. I do like the Aaron in that 61.
Yeah. I said Aaron, I think I need 2 Hank Aaron cards to complete his run, which who knows if I ever will. And
yeah, let's see what the chat is doing. So let's see.
Yeah.
Orlando 71, 72, and 75 with you. Yeah, I could have bumped up my 71. I think I gave it a 2, but it's just so hard to find those cards like centered and like not chipping too much, but it's a pretty sweet one. There you go. I knew I liked Mike Petty for a reason. 76. Yes.
But Petty's true love is 71.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's
let's
true love.
See more chat. Let the chat weigh in. Maybe they've got some ideas about the 50s too. So I did a 2 on the 52s, which I know you kind of raised your eyebrow at me. You're like, Joe.
I can't. The 52. It's just too magical of a set. When you look at how they changed everything. If you look at all the cards before 1952, and then you look at 1952 tops, and up to that point, there's nothing like it. And they really went out on a limb using the giant logos and then the stars around it. Reminds me of like a movie thing, where they have the movies listed, blockbuster movies.
Totes.
And the first, I feel like it's like one of the first bordered cards. Like it really is a unique, it changed everything. And obviously, I mean, to me anyways, obviously in my brain, I say a lot of dumb stuff, Joe. Like I'll say things that, I mean, everybody knows I'm being dumb when I say, when I give my opinion, I'm always like, I'm right. Of course, everybody's wrong. I'm being, I don't know, is facetious a word? I don't know. You're a scholar. Whatever. I'm not being like always dead serious, but I'm dead serious in my own brain. But to me, 52, it's just one of those sets that you can't not love it. When you have one in hand, it's just a really, truly special card. I don't know, Joe. Given that
you're winning me over. I mean, I was trying not to give 3s to everything, and so for me,
that's the problem. We needed 5. We should have done a 5 rating because then I could have changed.
Right, then we could get a little more titrated. Well, maybe we'll try it again sometime with some of our friends. But yeah, the 53. It's just like Andrew's saying. I kind of like just this seems like there's a little more variety to the 53s, but the 52s. If someone was talking about this, it might have been Greg again, about, the difference between portrait cards or cards that are primarily just the face versus like, action shots. And certainly in the T206, I mean, you can barely see a player's face if it's an action shot. Well, the Christy Matheson, but, the portraits give you a real sense of the human being. And, but on the flip side of that, I think that's why I slightly downgrade the 52s is there's just so many just straight face pictures. But you're right about the little box and the little stars, like that is super sweet. You know, centering is hard on those, but yeah, maybe 52 needs a 3 as well.
I mean, I think, you know, it was Greg who talked about this in one of his recent videos. I think it was, at least the portraits, to me. So there's a few type of collectors I'm learning since hanging out with all these different collectors. There's photo guys like Alex Bowman, 53. I don't know if you know him, but Alex, he's a photo guy. He loves 1953 Bowman. Lots of guys do. I feel like he's the one that spread the word on that set. He made that thing go up in value. Guys like me, and he's a photo guy. Then there's art guys that love 53. They love the art. They love the original drawings. I'm a both guy. But then there's also an action shot guy, like John Mangini. You know, he wants to see guys playing baseball, not, you know, he always brings up the Mariano Rivera card where he doesn't want to see him going on a prom date. I want to see their faces, especially as a kid. I love portrait shots. That's probably why 58 Topps is my favorite set of all time, because you have the bright colors and then you have their giant heads. Now, there are some where they're back, like, you know, the Clemente and Warren Spahn and a few others. But to me, seeing the face, and it just, to me, it just really brings him into my room. It brings him to life to me. In action shots, like, I can watch baseball if I want to see action shots. I want to see their faces. I'm not against action shots, of course, but there's just a different type of collectors out there, and I find it funny how it works. All of our brains work a little differently.
Totally. Speaking of sets I love, so you've got, in fact, you have a better Kahanamaku than I do, but do you have a Thorpe yet?
No, and I probably won't ever get one because he's not on my list of top 55 cards I want before I die, and it's too expensive. So I wouldn't just go out on a limb and buy it.
Right. You know? No, and that's a term that came up the other day too for me. People were talking like, is that too much card, right? Like, as a way of saying, like, yeah, in order to get into that card, you would have to spend so much money that it may not be able to be something that's in your queue because, like, it's too much card. Where do you go from there? There's not a lot of other places to go with Jim Thorpe. I mean, he's got a Topps 59 or something. But anyway, man, I gotta make a break for it. This has been
Joe.
So
my wife's
fun.
Gonna be knocking on the door. So yeah, that was sick.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it again sometime. Thank you so much, Shaka. And there's a swell coming next week. Or you're probably going to get it like tomorrow. Like there's
already swell here right now.
Yeah, things supposed to be hitting here Monday. So you're usually about 48 hours ahead of us. So enjoy, be safe out there, and
thanks, Joe.
We'll see you in the space.
Okay, later, Joe.
Take care.
Okay, everybody in the chat, thank you guys. Just as my internet's improving. Okay, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks everybody for coming on. That was really fun.